Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to the Congregation, a coffee house in Detroit's Boston, Edison, or 12th and Claremont neighborhood, depending on how it's branded. We're coming up on Grand Boulevard in a minute. Is that Grand Boulevard? Got the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses over there. Whew, got some nice buildings. So for a long time, Grand Boulevard, the road we're about to come up on, actually was the boundary of Detroit. Detroit grew through annexations. So all of this, I think, was part of Detroit as early as the 1880s. The section above Grand Boulevard, especially the section of LaSalle Gardens, which we're going to try to get over to. That section, from my understanding, wasn't annexed until the 1890s, early 1900s. So we're going to try to cross the Grand. Alright, LaSalle Gardens. This is where crazy thing about Detroit is it's very block by block. So you just saw where I was right now a second ago in Northwest Goldberg. You saw how it looked. And now we're just maybe a 10-minute walk from where we just were. And you can see here the style of housing has changed. Much nicer, much larger. A lot of brick, larger lot sizes, much better maintained. Larger, I think this area, LaSalle Gardens, I think historically was a middle class, upper middle class neighborhood, as you can tell by the housing over here. Another reason why I love this neighborhood is LaSalle Park. This park is really nice. It's way nicer in the summertime when the trees have grown in. But what I find really interesting about this park is they, I think deliberately, did not include any playing fields or like children's sports enclosures, stuff like that. I think this is meant to be a place for adults to hang out. Yeah, gorgeous park. It's even nicer because you have the view of all these homes around you. In fact, I don't really know architectural styles very well, but there's one over here that's, I think, is modern, or be considered modern. You can see the houses to my left and to my right. A little older style, and you have just this one over here, which is much more modern. Pretty interesting. LaSalle Gardens. All right. You also see the speed bumps here. That's been a huge thing in the city. Detroit has a big problem with speeding, and so the city, I think the city had a pilot program 2 years ago where they installed like 600 speed bumps, and then last year it was 1,100. I think this year they're going up to 4,500. There's just been incredible demand for speed bumps. So people are rightfully kind of worried about, sending kids out to play or seeing the tranquility of these streets be ruined by people speeding down them. We're still in LaSalle Gardens. This neighborhood, I think, blends into the next one over. Back on LaSalle Boulevard, LaSalle Gardens. At some point this turns into Boston Edison, the Boston Edison Historic District, which is one of the largest residential historic districts in the country. Fun fact. I believe we're still a little bit far away from it though. But you can see, kind of preview the types of houses you'll see in Boston Edison. But looking around, seeing what you see here. A lot of brick homes, single family predominantly. Pretty large. These are all built for Detroit's elite. Still now even. I mean, throughout history, Detroit's elite have generally lived in Boston Edison. Ford family, Gary Gordy Jr. Basically anyone who's anyone. All right, we're on Atkinson, but let me actually go slightly past where we want to go and come back just so I can show you Boston Edison. So Edison Avenue over here is the beginning of the first of 4 streets that comprise the Boston Edison Historic District. It runs from Dexter Avenue, I believe, all the way to Woodward. Might have to double check on that. So you can kind of see what we're working with here. Nicer older homes, kind of stately, well maintained. So if you can see pretty far in the distance, that's actually Central High School. It's now the Dirt-Free Innovation Society, but it's one of Detroit's large public high schools. And we're coming over on Chicago Boulevard, which I think has some of the more grand homes here. This is a boulevard rather than just a street. So we're gonna go right. Man, look at those. Got no cars behind me, so let's get over here and just relax. Now, obviously not every home is in great repair here, but they are in great shape. I mean, like I said before, people talk about Detroit's decline. It is true the city has had some struggles, but there have always been through it all neighborhoods that were pretty stable, pretty solidly middle class. Definitely those neighborhoods are more prevalent the further you get away from the city core. So especially Northwest Detroit, it's kind of the home of Detroit's, or I guess not the home, but is home to a lot of middle class Detroiters, upper middle class Detroiters. Really wonderful area. Gorgeous architecture. Okay. So now we need to get to Atkinson. Which maybe not, because it looks like Atkinson has trucks on it. Hey. Got the bird scooters. A lot of people hate them, but when I was taking the bus more frequently before COVID, they were really great. Sometimes I was running late, and so instead of taking taking a connecting bus or a MOGO or walking, I would just take a bird scooter. Not all the time. It's really useful for like what urban planners call the last mile problem, which, as it suggests, is getting you to the last mile of between a bus stop and your work, or bus stop and your house. Oftentimes the toughest problem to solve. We're gonna go the wrong way for just a minute.
What's up, y'all? So I finally reached the Congregation, a combined coffee shop and bar on Rosa Parks Boulevard, right next to Detroit's Boston Edison and Atkinson historic districts. The Congregation is in an old church that was originally constructed in the 1920s. It had been vacant for a while before being renovated and opened last March 2020, just a few days before COVID shut down the state for nearly 2 months. As always, I got an espresso, my favorite coffee drink. But if that's not your thing, they have the standard cappuccinos, lattes, drip coffees, and more. They also have a bar with liquors, beers, and wines, and a variety of food items. When COVID restrictions lift, you'll be able to sit inside and enjoy the wonderful ambiance. The Congregation is also across the street from Gordon Park, which hosts a variety of community events during the summer months. Gordon Park also has a nice plaque that details the history of the civil unrest that took place here in July 1967. That's all for this video. If you'd like to make a journey out to the Congregation, check them out at 932 Rosa Parks Boulevard. To get the most up-to-date information about their hours, especially as COVID restrictions change, check out their website at thecongregationdetroit.com. Until next time.